Hey guys, HotRod08 here, and welcome to another episode of SupportCraft, where we take a look at new, possibly unconventional builds for support champions during Season 8. Now, for today, we are going to be taking a look at Pyke again. Now, I did a SupportCraft video a couple weeks ago while he was on the PvE servers, what would be kind of a good foundation to start playing him on, but now so that it's been a little bit into his release and we know what runes and items and stuff work pretty well with him, now I can give you kind of a good SupportCraft video of what I personally build him. So today we are going to be going over his runes first, then his items, and then finally his skill set. So let's begin. Our goal with this build is going to be providing Pyke a strong laning phase that he's going to be able to hopefully snowball the game off of, as well as providing him some durability and extra damage as he's getting into the later game. Our primary path we're going to be taking is going to be the Resolve path, and the secondary path we're going to take is the Domination path, and together that's going to provide, originally it's going to provide Pyke 15 to 135 health, but since he converts that to attack damage, it'll provide him 1 to 9 attack damage, and then he'll get a flat 5 attack damage at the beginning of the game. Our keystone we're going to be going with is going to be Aftershock, which states after immobilizing an enemy champion will increase your armor and magic resistance by 70 to 120 for 2.5 seconds, then explode, doing some extra magic damage around you. Now, what this is really good on Pyke for is when you engage either with your Q or your E, when you either slow or stun an enemy, it's going to give you that extra durability to go in, and it's going to be flat durability, so it doesn't have to fully scale off you building defensively in order for it to work. It'll just give you a flat amount of armor magic resist, so it'll give you some nice durability and extra damage while you go in, both in the laning phase and in team fights. Our greater rune we're going to be going with is going to be Bone Plating, which states after taking damage from enemy champion, the next 3 spells or attacks you receive from them deal 15 to 40 less damage. Now we're taking Bone Plating because when you go in for picks or fights, especially in the laning phase, that extra durability that Bone Plating is going to provide you is going to really help you shift that fight in your favor to keep that survivability up, and it can mean the difference between you living and you dying. And our lesser runes we're going to be going with is going to be Second Wind and Unflinching. Now, Second Wind states after taking damage from an enemy champion, heal 4% of your missing health, plus 6 over 10 seconds. Now, Second Wind works really well with your passive in order to keep your sustain really high in the laning phase and to absorb a lot of that poke. If you don't think you need that Second Wind, though, for the extra sustain, you could also go something like Chrysalis, which will give you 4 extra attack damage at the beginning of the game, and will convert to 9 attack damage once you get those 4 kills or assists. Or if you want that later game durability, you could also go Conditioning, which will give you that extra armor and magic resist after the 10-minute mark. And then we're also going to be taking Unflinching, which gives you extra tenacity and slow resistance after you use your summoner spells, and that extra tenacity and slow resistance really helps Pyke out in order to not get chain CC'd when he's going in order to fight enemies, and to help him escape if you do get caught with a CC. And our secondary runes we're going to be going with is going to be Sun Impact and Ultimate Hunter. Now, Sun Impact states after exiting stealth or using a dash, leap, blink, or teleport, dealing any damage to a champion grants you 10 lethality and 8 magical penetration for 5 seconds. So basically, every time you Q, E, or use your ultimate on an enemy, if it hasn't been triggered already, once you do any damage to them, it's going to grant you an additional 10 lethality, which we're going to be building lethality on Pyke early within the game. So getting that extra 10 lethality really helps stack up with the lethality he's already going to be building and get his extra damage out, put especially on squishy enemy champions. And then we're going to be taking Ultimate Hunter as well, which states your ultimate gains 5% reduced cooldown plus an additional 2% per bounty hunter stack, which basically you get hunter stacks every time you get a kill or assist on a specific enemy champion, up to 5 since there's 5 enemies. So you can have an additional 15% cooldown reduction on your ultimate. And a lot of Pyke's strength is built into his ultimate, so having that up as much as possible really helps Pyke be able to get those executes out and snowball the game. If you think that you need the extra vision early within the laning phase, though, you can also take Zombie Ward, there we go, in order to give you that extra vision when one of your wards expires, or when you kill an enemy ward. But if you don't think you're going to be too susceptible to ganks, Ultimate Hunter is definitely going to be the choice that you want to go with. Starting off our item list at the beginning of the game, you're going to want to start off with Ancient Coin, and then you're going to want to go with Refillable Potions if you don't think you're going to be taking too much harass, but if you think you're going to be taking a lot of harass, you're going to go Health Potions instead, and then you're going to want to go your Warding Totem. Now, I go Ancient Coin personally over Relic Shield just because Ancient Coin gives you some nice cooldown reduction, especially once you upgrade it once. It will give you 10% cooldown reduction, which helps Pyke a lot. It gives him movement speed, it gives him mana regen, and it gives him a stable amount of gold throughout the game as opposed to having to fight for every single cannon minion between your allies. So Ancient Coin tends to be a pretty stable way of getting gold, and Pyke needs as much gold as he can get throughout the entire game, as he has a relatively expensive build path compared to other supports. So that's why I go Ancient Coin personally, but you can do what you would like there. On your first back to base, I would upgrade Nomad's Medallion to get that extra movement speed, the extra gold income, and that 10% cooldown reduction, as I've talked about, is really nice on him. Then our first item we're going to want to get is going to be Serrated Dirk, which is going to be 25 extra attack damage. It's going to give you your first part of lethality, which is really important on Pyke to be in the laning phase in order to kill the squishy enemy champions you're going to be facing, and then it'll give him a little bit extra bonus damage if you like kill a minion before going in for getting to just that little bit of extra damage. Now, right after you finish that Serrated Dirk, I like to go into Boots of Swiftness. Now, I go Boots of Swiftness instead of Mobility Boots for a couple reasons. One, Boots of Swiftness gives you a good amount of movement speed no matter what part of the laning phase or in team fights you are, as opposed to Boots of Mobility slows you down as soon as you enter combat, which makes escaping being in that combat a little more difficult. The extra movement speed, Boots of Swiftness gives you really helps, and it also gives you 25% movement slowing effects reduced. So escaping after you did your damage is a lot easier with it, and also with Boots of Swiftness, that passive, as it says movement slowing effects are reduced by 25%. That actually works with your Q. So when you're charging up in order to hit from a distance, it slows you down. Well, Boots of Swiftness actually makes that slow less, so you're going to actually move faster than what you would with any other boot item there. And then you're going to want to get your control wards and upgrade Oracle Lens whenever you start getting your wards with the Ancient Coin. And if you don't need Boots of Swiftness, if you need more of a defensive option, you can either go Mercury Treads if your enemies have lost CC, or magic damage you need to go against, or if you're facing an all attack damage team, you can also consider going Ninja Tabby there. Getting into the core build of Pyke, the very first item I like completing is Youmuu's Ghostblade, which is going to build off of that Serrated Dirk we built earlier. And Youmuu's gives you 55 attack damage, 10% cooldown reduction, 18 lethality, 40 movement speed when you're out of combat, and then an active that grants you 20% movement speed for 6 seconds on a 45-second cooldown. Now, I like going Youmuu's over Duskblade for a couple of reasons. Youmuu's provides the extra movement speed that Duskblade doesn't, so you're able to roam around the map more, and which is going to be able to let you get to team fights or picks faster than what you would with Duskblade. And also that 20% movement speed for 6 seconds is really versatile. And again, it can even help you get to a pick or team fight even faster. But also it gives you an ability to escape after you get into a fight. That extra 20% movement speed is really fast, and with that tenacity we have with our runes, after you get CC'd, you're going to be able to run out of there just by activating this ability. So it's really versatile, and the only benefits that you get from going Duskblade is going to be just a little bit of extra damage when you go in. Now, Pyke isn't exactly your typical assassin that needs to 100 to 0 the enemy champion. You're typically going to be working with other partners, so that extra little bit of damage you're going to get from Duskblade I don't think is required here. Now, while it's passive at being able to sweep wards is nice, I just think that overall the versatility of Youmuu is going to be better than Duskblade, so that's why I build first. And then afterwards, I would build into Remnant of the Ascended, upgrade your gold items so you can get that the extra ward and the extra attack damage it's going to provide, so you're going to be able to ward up more to the map. And then after these two items, I want to build something durability, so that you're not just going to get blown up when you're going into the later game team fights. Now you have two options. You can either go Guardian Angel, which is going to give you 45 attack damage, 40 armor, and then its passive that says upon taking lethal damage, restores 50% of your base health and 30% of maximum mana after 4 seconds of stasis. So basically that's going to give you extra armor, it's going to give you that damage, and then when when you do die, it's going to bring you back to life 4 seconds after you die. Now, while it is on a really long cooldown, that survivability really helps with Pyke, so you can go into team fights without fully worrying that he's going to die. He has a way to get back in. Or if you want more of a rounded item in order to give more armor and some magic resist, you can also go Zeke's Convergence, which is going to give you 60 armor, 30 magic resist, going to give you 250 mana, 10% cooldown reduction, and then it's active that whenever you cast your ultimate, it's going to give you an AoE slow around you, the conduit that you're attached to, which most likely going to be your AD carry. It's going to give them 50% bonus magic damage over 2 seconds to their attacks, and then if you both are attacking the same enemy, it's going to give your slow around you a extra burn effect too. Now, you're building Zeke's more for its durability than you are for its active, because its active requires you to use your ult, and you typically don't want to use your ult unless if you're going to be executing an enemy champion. But if you do use your ult for the first one and execute an enemy, it'll give both you and your ally that active effect, but we are building Zeke's mostly for its durability effect. And then we're going to want to finish the game with a variety of different items. You can, at this point, build a Duskblade if you want some extra damage and that lethality. If you want to be able to burst enemy champions down more, Duskblade is now appropriate at this point. If you want a little bit more survivability, you can go Edge of Night, which gives you some extra health, which is going to convert into attack damage. It's going to give you 55 regular attack damage, extra lethality, and then the active that channels for 1.5 seconds to grant a spell shield that blocks the next enemy ability, and that shield lasts for 7 seconds, and that's only on 40-second cooldown. So you can go that too if you want that lethality, and you don't need the extra little damage that Duskblade gives or that ward clearing. You just want to have the next ability blocked. Now, if the enemies are stacking a lot of armor, you can go Black Cleaver, which is going to give you 40 attack damage, which is going to give you 400 health, which is going to convert into a pretty good sizable chunk of attack damage. Off the top of my head, I think that would give you an extra 29 attack damage. So Black Cleaver would give you a total of 69 attack damage, 20% cooldown, and dealing physical damage to enemy champion cleaves them, reducing their armor by 4% for 6 seconds. That can stack up to 6 times, up to 24%, and it gives you a little bit of extra movement speed when you're doing damage to enemy too. Now we would build that. As I said, if the enemies are building a lot of armor and you want, and your team itself has a lot of armor, or attack damage champions that need to do damage to enemies, so you can kind of support by removing their armor, so both you and your allies can actually do some more damage to those enemy champions. And then we can also go Lord Dominik's Regard or Mole Reminder. Now they're both basically the same item, 40 attack damage, and they give 35 armor penetration. Well, I guess Lord Dominik's gives 35% armor penetration, and then Moral Reminder gives you 25% armor penetration. But Moral Reminder also states physical damage inflicts grievous wounds on enemy champions for 5 seconds. So if there's a loss to stay on the enemy team, like a Soraka or Vladimir, that extra grievous runes that your attacks will give can really help reduce the sustain that they can build up. And finally, if we need just a little bit more durability, you can also go Malmortius or Mercurial Scimitar. Now, Maw of Malmortius, sorry about that, gives you extra attack damage, 50 magic resist, and 10% cooldown reduction. Gives you a magic shield that would, whenever your health would reduce below 30%, it will grant a shield that will absorb up to 350 magic damage for 3 seconds. And it'll also give you some extra attack damage and spell vamp and life steal until out of combat. So that'd be a good item in order to pick up if your enemies are doing a lot of magic damage and you want to burst magic damage specifically, and you want to survive that burst. So someone like Vigar, Annie, Malmortius might be a good item versus them. And then finally, if you're getting just a lot of CC versus you, also build Mercurial Scimitar, which is going to give you some attack damage, some magic resist, 10% life steal, and then it's active that removes all crowd control debuffs and also grants 50% bonus movement speed for 1 second. So these ending items are going to greatly depend on your enemy team comp and what you need to build yourself in order to go versus it. And lastly, we're going to get into Pyke's skill set. Now, our very first level, you're going to want to go with your Q, which is Bone Skewer. Now, this is the ability that is basically kind of like a Thresher's Hook, which when you hold it and then release your Q button, it's going to throw his harpoon forward, and if it hits an enemy champion, it'll throw them back into you. But also, if you just push the Q button immediate release, it's going to throw his harpoon like immediately in front of him and going to do some damage and slow him down for a second. It's a versatile ability to have on level 1. There's no other abilities that you can pick that are going to be able to harass as much as your Q at level 1, so that's what we're going to be taking. At level 2, we're going to be taking his E, Phantom Undertow, which is the ability that lets him dash forward and will stun any enemies that are between the place he dashed from in the first place and where he ended up at. Now, between his Q and his E, that's going to be his main ways of being able to catch enemies off guard, as well as being able to stun them up, so that's why we're going to take it level 2. And then our level 3, we're going to put a point in his W, which is his ability, his Ghost Water Dive, which lets him go invisible for a few seconds and gives him some extra bonus movement speed. So that's going to be his ability that he's going to take in order to reposition and sneak up on enemies, so we don't need that level 1 or 2, so that's why we're going to take that level 3. Now, our very first ability we're going to be leveling up is going to be his Q ability. So by the time you're level 5, you're going to have 3 points in that, and by the time you're level 9, you're going to have that maxed out. Every time you leveled up, it's going to give him additional damage, as well as you're going to start off the game with a 16-second cooldown. By the time you have it maxed out, it's going to bring it down to an 8-second cooldown. When you finish leveling up your Q first, you're going to max out your E second, which each time you level it up, it's going to increase the damage as well as the stun duration from 1.1 seconds to 1.5 seconds at max rank. And then finally, you're going to want to max out your W last, which will give just a little bit extra movement speed when you do use the ability. And then obviously, you're going to want to level up your ultimate at level 6, 11, and 16. And that'll be the conclusion of this video of SupportCraft. Now, I know this was a really long video and there's a lot of information to cover, so if you guys have any questions over any of the build or items or skill sets that we took, feel more than free to comment in the comment section below, and I'd love to help you out. If you're enjoying my content and want to consider supporting the channel, head over to my Patreon. There you can enjoy perks such as early releases of some of my videos, having me look at your op.gg and giving you suggestions, and having your name shout out at the end of my videos like these lovely people here who are already contributing to the channel. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, I feature support-focused League of Legends content that I release on a weekly basis and would love your support. Please like this video as it really helps out my ratings, and hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button to keep up the latest content that I release. But rather than that, you guys have a great day today. Thanks much.